My name is Claire Dawson, and for most of my life, my family treated money like a scoreboard. Whoever had more earned respect. Whoever had less became the punchline. I learned that lesson early, but nothing prepared me for the way they laughed that night. The night that would change everything. It happened at my aunt's house, during what was supposed to be a simple family dinner. Just a gathering. Just food. Just conversation. But with my family, nothing was ever just anything. Everything was a comparison, a contest, a performance. Every pause in conversation became an opportunity to remind someone else of their shortcomings. I still remember walking up the driveway with a store-bought cake balanced in my arms, hoping it didn't look too cheap. But there was no point fooling myself. They would find something wrong with it. They always did. And yet, I still went. I still showed up. Because even when your family bruises you, some small part of you hopes they won't do it again. Some part of you still wants to belong. When I stepped inside, warmth hit my face, followed by the loud familiar voices of people who had never learned to speak at a normal volume. My cousin Heather was showing off her new engagement ring, waving it around like she had single-handedly discovered diamonds. My uncle Thomas was bragging about closing another real estate deal. My sister Brooke was talking loudly about the luxury SUV she had just leased. And then there was me. Claire with the used car. Claire who rented a one-bedroom apartment. Claire who worked 2 jobs and still lived paycheck to paycheck. Claire who always arrived carrying something cheap. I could feel their eyes flick to me as I walked in, measuring me the way people weigh fruit at the store. Bruised? Overripe? Worth buying? My mother approached first, wearing a smile that always looked slightly pained when directed at me. Claire, honey, you made it. She gave me a hug that felt more like a pat, then whispered, I hope that cake wasn't expensive. She didn't mean it kindly. She meant it as a reminder. As if she was saying, remember your limits. Don't pretend you can afford more than you can. I placed the cake on the table and forced a smile. It was fine, Mom. Inside, something already ached. But I stayed. I always stayed. Because walking out felt like giving them permission to be right about me. Dinner was served buffet style, like always. Everyone piled their plates with expensive cheeses, imported meats, and homemade dishes prepared by Aunt Grace's housekeeper, not by Aunt Grace. My plate was small. Not because I wasn't hungry. But because I hated walking back and forth while people stared at me. The comments started early. My sister's voice carried across the room. Claire, are you still working at that little cafe? The words little cafe rolled off her tongue like they were sticky. I nodded. Yes, and at the print shop too. Heather laughed. 2 jobs and still broke. Girl, you need to pick a career with actual money. My face warmed. It pays my bills. Thomas chimed in from across the table. Barely, from what your mother says. My mother winced, but she didn't correct him. She never did. I swallowed, trying to steady my breathing. I'm doing fine. Brooke smirked. Of course you are. You always say that. Her fiancé chuckled under his breath. No one else defended me. It only got worse. When someone mentioned vacation plans, Heather sighed dramatically. Well, Claire doesn't have to worry about travel plans. Poverty is the best travel restriction. Laughter spilled around the table. Someone muttered, she should write a book about budgeting. Chapter 1, Don't spend, because you can't. Then Brooke leaned forward, smirking. Seriously, Claire. One day you'll understand. Love doesn't pay bills. Hard work doesn't pay bills. Smart choices pay bills. And you, well, you just haven't made those. Her voice sliced through me. I felt myself shrinking, the way you do when you've been humiliated and can't escape. I poked at my food, wishing it would swallow me whole. I didn't talk for the rest of dinner. And still, no one stopped. No one considered that maybe the joke had gone too far. Maybe the punchline they were beating to death had a heartbeat. When dessert came out, the jokes paused just long enough for my aunt to slice the cake I brought. She took one bite, frowned, and said, "Very sweet. Cheaper brands always are." The room chuckled. My chest tightened. Heat pooled behind my eyes, but I refused to cry. Not in front of them. Not here. Not when they were waiting for it. I excused myself and went outside to breathe. The cold air hit my face like a slap, but at least it was honest. I stood in the driveway, staring at the yard I used to run through as a kid, back when things were simple, back when I didn't know my worth was conditional. That's when I heard it. The sliding door behind me opening. For a moment, hope sparked. Maybe someone had come to check on me. Maybe someone had noticed. But no. It was Brooke and Heather. They didn't see me in the dark. They just kept talking. And what they said carved a new wound in me. Brooke laughed. She still thinks we're laughing with her. Heather snorted. She still thinks she's part of the family. Brooke's voice sharpened. Please. If it weren't for Mom's guilt, Claire wouldn't even be invited. She's like charity work at this point. They laughed harder. I leaned against the wall, the breath leaving my lungs so fast it hurt. Charity work. That's what I was to them. And then, as if the universe wanted to crush me completely, Thomas stepped out too, joining their conversation. "You know what your father said earlier?" he asked. Brooke grinned. "What now?" "He said Claire is like a stray cat. If you feed her once, she keeps coming back." Their laughter echoed across the yard. My whole body shook. I quietly slipped back inside, grabbed my coat, and left without saying goodbye. When I reached my apartment, I collapsed onto my couch and cried until the furniture was damp beneath me. The kind of crying that steals your breath. The kind of crying that breaks something in you you know won't heal the same way again. I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not that night. Not the next day. Not ever. But 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. I was at the cafe counter, wiping down a table when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Normally, I wouldn't pick up. But something told me to answer. "Hello," I said. A polite male voice responded. "Good afternoon. Is this Claire Dawson?" "Yes." "This is Alan Jeffries, the senior accountant for the Dawson family." My heart skipped. My family had an accountant? And why would he be calling me? "I need to schedule an appointment with you immediately," he said. "There are financial documents you were never informed about. And your signature is required to move forward." I blinked. "What documents?" A pause. His tone shifted, lower, calmer, heavier. "It's about an asset your grandfather left with your name on it. One your family apparently chose not to disclose." My breath stopped. "What kind of asset?" I whispered. "You'll want to see it in person," he said. "And Claire? Please come alone." Alone. The word pressed against my ribs. Everything inside me tightened, twisted, then ignited. Because it finally hit me. My family had mocked me for not having money. But they had also hidden something from me. Something big enough for their accountant to track me down. Something big enough that he warned me to come alone. Something they didn't want me to know existed. And whatever it was finally coming to me. I barely slept the night after the accountant called me. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard his voice again. Calm, steady, careful. The kind of care that makes your stomach twist because it tells you one thing: whatever he wanted to show me wasn't small. It wasn't routine. And it wasn't something my family ever expected me to discover. By sunrise, I was already sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee going cold. The city moved outside my window. Cars hummed down the street. Someone walked their dog. A kid waited for the school bus. Normal things. Everyday things. But none of it felt normal to me. I checked the appointment confirmation again. 10:30 in the morning. Jeffries and Company. Accounting firm. Floor 7. Conference room C. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. At exactly 9:45, I put on my coat, grabbed my purse, and left the apartment. My hands were cold the entire drive, gripping the steering wheel as if the car was the only thing keeping me tethered to earth. Every red light felt like a test of patience. Every green light felt like a push towards something I wasn't prepared for. The office building was downtown, tall and glassy, with a quiet lobby that smelled like polished floors and money. Real money. The kind of money my family bragged about at dinners but never let me touch. I checked in with the receptionist, who typed my name like she recognized it. That unsettled me even more. I didn't belong in places like this. I belonged in the cafe, in the print shop, in my little apartment with thrift store furniture. Not here. Mr. Jeffries will meet you upstairs, she said. My heart thudded against my ribs as the elevator doors slid open. I stepped inside, pressed the button, and watched the numbers climb. When the doors opened on the 7th floor, a man in a gray suit approached me. Tall, early 50s, clean-shaven, glasses that made him look sharper than the word accountant usually suggested. You must be Claire, he said, offering a handshake. Thank you for coming. His grip was steady. Professional. But his eyes carried something else, something like concern. Please, he said. Follow me. We walked down a quiet hallway. The carpet swallowed our footsteps. I tried to read his body language, his tone, anything that might tell me what was going on. But he was unreadable, the way people get when they're handling something delicate. He opened the door to the conference room and gestured for me to sit. A thick folder lay on the table. My last name was printed on a tab in sharp black letters, Dawson, Claire. Seeing my name like that, official, formal, centered, made my pulse speed up. He sat across from me. I want to start by saying I'm very sorry you had to be contacted like this. You should have been informed long ago. Informed about what? My voice cracked a little. He exhaled slowly. First, I need to confirm something. Your grandfather was Harrison Dawson, correct? I nodded. Yes. And you were close with him? The question stung. Very. He nodded as if that answer mattered more than I realized. Then I think you deserve to know what he left behind for you. He opened the folder. The first page was a letter. My grandfather's handwriting. My breath caught. My chest tightened so suddenly I had to straighten my back to breathe. Mr. Jeffries adjusted his glasses. This letter, Ms. Dawson, was part of a confidential file your grandfather left with our firm. It was meant to be given to you on your 25th birthday. I froze. 25th birthday. I was 28. He continued. Unfortunately, your family requested to manage all estate matters privately. They insisted you had been informed already. We had no legal reason to question them at the time. I felt the blood drain from my face. They lied. He looked at me with sympathy that confirmed it. Yes. They did. He slid the letter toward me. My hands shook as I lifted the page. My grandfather's handwriting was unmistakable, neat, slanted, patient. Claire, if you are reading this, it means I am gone, and the people around you may not be protecting you the way I hoped they would. So I'm leaving instructions separately, where they cannot be altered. I blinked hard, the words blurring. I kept reading. I know how the family talks about you. I know they underestimate you. I also know they count every dollar as if it determines worth. But you have something they don't. Heart. Discipline. Integrity. You never asked for anything. You never took advantage. And that is why this is yours. Your future is meant to be secure, no matter what others say or do. Do not let them shame you. Do not let them tell you what you deserve. The truth is, you deserve far more than they ever admitted. My hand trembled as I lowered the letter. What did he give me? I whispered. Mr. Jeffries pulled out a set of documents clipped together. Pages upon pages. Signatures. Stamps. This is the deed, he said quietly. To your grandfather's farm. Specifically and solely in your name. My mouth fell open. The farm? The entire property? Yes, he said. And not just the land. The equipment. The grain silos. The machinery. The livestock contracts. Everything. My chest tightened. But they said it wasn't worth anything. They said Grandpa sold most of it. He shook his head. He sold nothing. In fact, he flipped another page. He placed the farm under a private trust 2 months before he passed away. You are the sole beneficiary. My hands covered my mouth. Because the farm wasn't small. It wasn't worthless. It wasn't broken land. It was 200 acres of highly valuable property. Land developers had been trying to buy it for years. Anyone who knew the market understood that farmland was exploding in value. They knew. My family knew. And they hid it from me. I felt something hot rise in my throat, anger, grief, betrayal, all tangled together. Mr. Jeffries kept going. There's more. More. The words stabbed through the fog in my head. He left a separate asset, he said. One the family definitely didn't want you to know about. He pulled a small box from the folder. Wooden. Old. With my grandfather's initials carved into the top. I felt my breath hitch. This, he said, contains the key to the safety deposit vault he kept downtown. Your grandfather stored additional documents there. Instructions. Possibly cash. We do not know. The vault can only be accessed by you. I stared at the box. My fingers curled around its edges, tracing the carved initials. It felt like I was holding a heartbeat. A memory surfaced, me sitting on Grandpa's porch as a kid, swinging my legs while he whittled pieces of wood. He smiled at me and said, "One day you'll understand everything I've been preparing for." I'd thought he meant life lessons. Not this. Never this. Mr. Jeffries spoke again, more carefully this time. Ms. Dawson, your family has known about this for years. They actively interfered with the transfer process and claimed you had declined the assets. What? My voice cracked. Why would they do that? He gave me a look that said the answer was obvious. Because everything Harrison Dawson owned was worth well over 7 figures. And they expected to inherit it themselves. 7 figures. I pressed my palms into the table, trying to steady the world tilting beneath me. So what happens now? I asked. That depends on you, he said. You can accept the assets quietly. Or, he hesitated. You can open an investigation. What kind of investigation? Misrepresentation. Estate interference. Concealment of a legal beneficiary. Potential financial fraud. Your signature was forged on documents stating you declined the inheritance. Your cousin Heather submitted the forms. That broke something in me I didn't know I had left. Heather. The same cousin who laughed at my clothes. My car. My income. The same cousin who whispered to me about charity work. The same cousin who said love doesn't pay bills. She forged my name to steal what my grandfather left me. I felt my jaw clench, tighter than ever. So she committed a crime. Yes, he said simply. She did. Something cold settled inside me, not emptiness, but clarity. The kind that forms when you finally see the truth without the fog of hope. They mocked me, I whispered. They laughed. They made jokes about me being broke. He nodded. And all the while, they were hiding the very thing that would have changed your life. My hands curled into fists. All the years I struggled. All the years they looked down on me. All the years they watched me work 2 jobs, thinking it was funny, thinking it proved I was the family failure. When in reality, I was the one Grandpa trusted most. And they knew it. "Claire," Mr. Jeffries said softly, "do you want to pursue legal action?" I sat there. Silent. Still. Letting every memory of their laughter wash over me. And then I whispered the first real truth I had spoken in years. "Yes." He nodded once. Firm. "Then we start immediately." He slid a final sheet toward me. It only required one thing. My signature. This time, I signed slowly, carefully, pressing each letter into the paper as if my name carried weight. Because now it did. I stood to leave, box in hand, paperwork tucked under my arm like armor. Outside, the sun was bright, too bright, hitting the pavement in sharp gold streaks. I took a deep breath, the cold air filling my lungs. For the first time in my life, I wasn't walking home defeated. I was walking home with the truth. And the truth was heavier than anything they'd ever mocked me for. It was power. The kind they never wanted me to have. And I had a feeling. They were about to find out exactly what my grandfather left me. Not just land. Not just a vault. Not just money. But the one thing they never expected. A way out. A way up. A way back in, on my terms. I gripped the wooden box tighter. This wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. And for the first time, I wasn't scared of what came next. That night, I spread everything from the accountant's office across my kitchen table. The letter with my grandfather's handwriting. The deed to the farm. The trust documents with my name alone at the top. And the copies of the forms where my name had been forged. My name, written like a costume someone else tried on. I stared at that fake signature for a long time. Same letters. Same order. None of it mine. The more I looked, the more I heard my cousin Heather's laugh in my head. "Relax, Claire. Some people aren't meant to have money. At least you're good at smiling through it." That laugh had always made me feel small. Tonight, it made me feel something else. Focused. My phone buzzed beside the paperwork. A text from Mr. Jeffries. Filed. The estate attorney has been notified. Your family will receive formal notice within 48 hours. 48 hours. That was how long I had before the people who mocked me for being broke found out I was the one holding everything they tried so hard to steal. I did not respond. There was nothing to say. I just turned off my phone and sat there in the quiet, staring at the documents like they were a different kind of mirror. One that showed me a version of myself I had never been allowed to see. Not the broke one. Not the charity case. Not the girl they joked about. The beneficiary. The owner. The one Harrison Dawson trusted most. The next morning, everything felt strangely normal. I woke up. Made coffee. Got dressed. Went to work at the cafe like I had every morning for the last 3 years. The regulars came in on schedule. Jenna ordered her almond latte and told me about her loud neighbors. Mr. Brooks tipped too much and pretended not to. A tired nurse grabbed coffee on her way home from night shift. The world moved, and no one knew that my entire life had shifted 24 hours earlier in a quiet downtown office. Around 11, my phone buzzed in my apron pocket. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the name. Mom. My chest tightened as I slipped into the back hallway and answered. "Hi," I said. Her voice came fast, tight, already riding the edge of panic. "What did you do?" "No hello." "No, how are you?" "Just accusation." I leaned against the wall. Good morning to you too. Don't play games, Claire, she snapped. We got a letter from the estate attorney. Something about the trust being disputed. Something about forged documents. What did you tell them? I closed my eyes. So they knew. Good. I told them the truth, I said. You are blowing this out of proportion. Your grandfather wanted what was best for the family. We handled things for you. You handled things for yourselves, I replied quietly. She scoffed. You are being dramatic. The farm is complicated. Taxes. Maintenance. Legal fees. You wouldn't know what to do with any of it. A few months ago, that would have worked. I would have shrunk. Apologized. Backed down. Today, it just sounded like what it was. Control. I know how to read, Mom, I said. The trust has my name on it. Sole beneficiary. You knew that. Heather knew that. Someone forged my signature and told the firm I declined. That isn't handling things. That's stealing. There was a sharp inhale on the other end of the line. You don't talk to me like that, she hissed. We are your family. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. How dare you accuse us of stealing? How dare you decide for me what I do or don't deserve, I said. My voice was steady. Calm. You didn't even ask me. You didn't tell me the farm was mine. You hid it. Then you let me scrub dishes and pour coffee while you sat at Sunday dinners and watched them mock me. A long silence stretched between us. Finally, she said quietly, you have no idea what we're dealing with. You're right, I replied. Because you never let me see anything you couldn't control. She laughed once, a short bitter sound. This is Heather's doing. She handled the paperwork. Blame her. Not us. That's the thing, I said softly. I don't have to decide who to blame. The documents are already with the investigators. Her voice pitched higher. Investigators? Yes. They're reviewing everything. Every form. Every signature. Every date. You'll get more letters. You are destroying this family, Claire. No, I said. You destroyed it the moment you decided your comfort mattered more than my rights. She went quiet again. I could hear her breathing. Then, in a smaller voice, the one that floated between guilt and anger, she said, your grandfather always made everything about you. The truth landed. There it was. The resentment I'd always felt but never heard out loud. Before I could respond, she ended the call. The line went dead. I stared at the phone for a moment. Then I slipped it back into my apron and returned to the counter. Everything okay? My manager asked as he passed by. Fine, I lied. Just family stuff. He nodded like he understood. Everyone thought they understood family stuff. Very few people actually did. By late afternoon, my phone was buzzing so much I had to silence it completely. Calls from my mother. A string of angry texts from my aunt. Messages from unknown numbers that had to be extended family. I didn't open any of them. But then another name popped up. One I couldn't ignore. Heather. The cousin who laughed at my car. My apartment. My clothes. My tips. The one who turned my life into a running joke to entertain people who already thought they were better than me. Her message was short. What are you doing? No question mark. Just flat, cold entitlement. I didn't respond. 5 seconds later, another one. Call me. Then another. Now. I put the phone face down on my nightstand and walked away from it. The urge to defend myself burned through my chest, but I forced it down. I wasn't the one who owed anyone an explanation. Not anymore. That night, Mr. Jeffries called. We received notice, he said. The estate attorney has scheduled a meeting with all involved parties. They want to clarify the situation before formal charges are discussed. My stomach twisted. A meeting? Yes, he said. They want you there. You are the beneficiary of the trust. You have the right to be present. I swallowed. Who else will be there? Your mother. Your aunt. Heather. Possibly your uncle. And the estate attorney representing the original will. He hesitated before adding, they will likely try to intimidate you. To convince you to drop this. You don't have to speak if you don't want to. I'll be there as your representative. I stared at the wall. The idea of facing them in a room where everyone knew the truth felt like standing in a storm with no roof. Will they know about the forged signature? I asked. Yes, he said. The court clerk already flagged it. They'll be notified formally soon, if they haven't been already. Good, I whispered. Do you want to go through with this? He asked. I thought of their laughter around the table. The way they looked at one another when I talked about rent. The way they lowered their voices when I walked in. The way Heather had smirked when she asked if I planned to pay my half of the bill in cash or in exposure. I do, I said. I'm tired of being the only one paying for their comfort. Then we move forward, he replied. I'll send you the details. The meeting was set for Friday afternoon. 3 days. 3 days of silence and noise at the same time. Silence from me. Noise from them. The messages kept coming. At first they were defensive. Then angry. Then pleading. Then manipulative. Claire, this isn't how the family behaves. You're embarrassing us. You don't understand the consequences. Be reasonable. We'll talk and figure something out. Grandpa wanted the family to stay together, not in court. If you don't stop this, you will regret it. That last one came from Heather. I read it once and deleted it. Thursday night, I sat on my bed with the wooden box in my lap. The one Mr. Jeffries had given me. The one with my grandfather's initials carved into the top. I hadn't opened it yet. I wasn't ready. But now, with the meeting hours away, I realized something. I needed to. Not for the money. Not for the documents. Not for the vault key. For him. For the man who tried to protect me even after he died. My hands were steady as I slid the lid off. Inside, there was a small metal key taped to the lid, just as Jeffries had said. But there was also something else. Another letter. Folded. Yellowed at the edges. Addressed in his familiar careful handwriting. To Claire. For when they come for you. My throat tightened as I unfolded it. You already know about the farm by now, if you're reading this. And if you are, it means I was right about one thing, they didn't tell you the truth. They tried to take what was yours. I'm sorry. I tried to stop it while I was alive. But love makes people greedy. Fear makes them worse. I can't protect you from everything. But I can give you something they can't touch. Inside the vault, you will find not just documents for the land, but records. Copies of every conversation I had with the attorneys. A recording of our last meeting. Notes in my own words about why I left what I did, to you and to no one else. They will say you don't deserve this. That you are ungrateful. That you are tearing the family apart. They will be lying. Take what is yours, and do it with your head held high. They mocked you for not having money. They are about to find out that the person they laughed at is the one holding the proof they can't erase. My vision blurred. I read that last line over and over until the words carved themselves into me. Proof they can't erase. That's what he left me. Not just land. Evidence. The next morning, the sky was gray, clouds hanging low over the city like everything was holding its breath. The law firm was in a different building than the accounting office. This one is older, with dark wood panels in the lobby and portraits of serious men on the walls. I walked in with the same coat I'd worn to every job I'd ever gone to. It suddenly felt less like a symbol of struggle and more like armor. Mr. Jeffries was already there, waiting in the hallway outside the conference room. He gave me a small nod. "Are you ready?" he asked. "No," I said honestly. "But I'm here." "That's enough," he replied. He opened the door. They were all there. My mother. My aunt. My uncle. Heather, sitting with her arms crossed, chin lifted like she still believed she was in control. For a brief moment, the room went silent as they saw me. Truly saw me. Not in my cafe uniform. Not walking in late to a family dinner. Not as background noise. As someone invited. Someone expected. Someone necessary. My mother was the first to recover. "What is this?" she demanded, looking from me to the estate attorney. Why did she have to be here? The attorney, a gray-haired man in a navy suit, cleared his throat. "Because she is the named beneficiary of the Dawson Farm Trust," he said. "She has every right to be here." Heather rolled her eyes. "This is ridiculous." "Grandpa never," he cut her off with a raised hand. "Miss Dawson, please. Sit." The fact that he used my last name for her and not me told me everything I needed to know. He was not on their side. Not anymore. We all sat. I took a chair at the far end of the table, next to Mr. Jeffries. A stack of files lay in front of the attorney. The air felt heavy, like the room itself knew something ugly was about to be peeled open. The attorney folded his hands. "Let's begin," he said. My heart pounded in my ears, but my face stayed calm. I wasn't the one who should be afraid in this room. Not today. And as he pulled out the first document and spoke the words my family never expected to hear out loud, I realized something very simple. They mocked me for not having money. But the thing they should have feared was never my bank account. It was my name. Because today, for the first time, my name was the one on every paper that mattered. And there was nothing they could laugh at that could change that now. The room felt colder as the estate attorney lifted the final folder. He adjusted his glasses, tapped the table once, and looked straight at my family. Not at me. At them. "This is the recorded statement Mr. Dawson left before signing his final estate documents." The sentence dropped like a stone in water. My mother stiffened. My aunt's jaw tightened. Heather finally stopped pretending to be bored. For the first time since I entered the room, their confidence cracked. My fingers curled together under the table. The attorney explained that the recording would be played because of the forensic confirmation on the forged signature. My forged signature. No one spoke. He pressed play. For a moment, there was nothing but the faint sound of static. Then my grandfather's voice filled the room. Steady. Clear. Impossible to mistake. "If you are hearing this, it means I am gone. It also means I feared my wishes would not be honored. I know my family, and I know they have strong ideas about inheritance. Some of those ideas do not include fairness." My mother's breath hitched. My grandfather continued. "Claire has something the others do not. She has never asked for anything. She has never taken advantage. She has never acted entitled to what she did not earn. I trust her judgment more than anyone in this room. That is why she is the sole beneficiary." Heather let out a small, shocked breath. My aunt's hand flew to her mouth. But the recording went on. "To the rest of you, I leave nothing. Not because I do not love you, but because I have loved you too much. I have watched you fight over scraps you believed you deserved. I will not watch you fight over her future." My throat tightened. He paused, then added in a tone that sounded sharper than I remembered, "If anyone attempts to interfere with this transfer, the firm holds sealed evidence of communication, signatures, and dates. It will be released automatically. The person responsible will face consequences. I warned you while I was alive. I warn you again now. The recording clicked off. Silence filled the room, thick and absolute. My mother stared at the table, face pale. My aunt looked like her entire spine had collapsed in on itself. My uncle rubbed his temples with both hands. Heather. Heather went red, then white, then red again. For once, she had no joke. The attorney folded his hands. This recording, combined with the forged signature, places the trust in Miss Dawson's full control. The investigation will proceed. Charges may follow depending on Claire's decision. For now, all assets are restored to her. He looked at me. If you wish to speak, you may. I swallowed hard. For most of my life, speaking up in front of them felt impossible. Like my words would vanish in the room before they ever reached their ears. But today, the room felt different. They were listening now. I turned to my family. All of them. You laughed at me, I said quietly. For years. You made comments about how I lived, what I earned, where I worked. You looked at me like I was the family disappointment. No one interrupted. I kept going. And all that time, you hid the one thing that could have changed everything. You let me struggle while you sat around tables and made jokes. You watched me count tips to pay rent while you forged my name to take what wasn't yours. My mother whispered, we were trying to protect the family. Protect the family? I repeated softly. Or protect yourselves. She had no answer. I turned to Heather. You forged my signature. She swallowed hard. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. The attorney raised a hand. Miss Dawson, for legal reasons, she should not respond further. I nodded. Then I stood. My chair scraped back quietly, almost politely. The opposite of everything happening inside me. I'm not here to scream, I said. I'm not here to make threats. I'm not even here to get revenge. I'm here to claim what is mine. Their faces shifted the moment I said it. Like the room had tilted toward the truth they'd spent years avoiding. You took my pride, I said softly. You took my trust. But you won't take this. The attorney slid the final set of documents to me. Sign here to finalize full control of the trust. The pen felt heavier than it should have. I signed anyway. Slow. Certain. Each letter a small correction to every lie they'd told. When it was over, the attorney collected the papers and said, Miss Dawson, everything now legally belongs to you. The others have no claim. No claim. I felt something loosen in my chest. Not joy. Not victory. Freedom. The meeting ended. Chairs pushed back. Papers gathered. Voices low and trembling. No one looked me in the eye as they filed out. No one except Heather. For a moment, she stood in the doorway, eyes sharp and angry. You think this makes you better than us? She whispered. I held her gaze without flinching. No, I said. It just makes me equal. And that was all I ever deserved. She didn't reply. She walked out. When the door closed behind the last of them, the quiet in the room felt different. It wasn't heavy anymore. It wasn't suffocating. It was clean, like fresh air after a storm. Mr. Jeffries looked at me. You did well. I didn't feel strong, I said. Strength is quieter than people think, he replied. Especially when the people who underestimated you finally see the truth. I left the building with the wooden box in my bag and my grandfather's voice still echoing in my mind. You deserve far more than they ever admitted. Outside, the sky had finally cleared. The sidewalk shimmered from the rain. People moved around me, talking, laughing, hurrying to wherever they were going. I felt steady for the first time in years. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from an unknown number. I opened it. You think you've won. But you have no idea what we're about to do next. No name. No signature. But I knew exactly who it was. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I turned the phone off and slipped it into my purse. Because whoever sent it did not understand something important. I wasn't the scared one anymore. And whatever they thought they were planning, I was already 3 steps ahead. I walked down the street with my head high and the truth finally in my hands. They mocked me for not having money. But the thing they should have feared was never the size of my bank account. It was the day I finally learned the power of my own name. The day their laughter stopped. The day everything shifted. The day I got the proof they couldn't erase. And now, they had no idea what was coming. Not yet. But they would. And if you want more stories where silence becomes strength, where the truth finally wins, and where daughters rise after being underestimated, make sure to follow the channel and subscribe. Your support lets these stories keep going. The next one is already unfolding.